Okay, here we are back to our course. I think the next thing I'd like to take a look at is the gradebook, because Moodle will keep track of grades for you. Some things you have to grade, and we'll look at those different sort of assignments. We can look at let's look at some activity or resources. We can do assignments, chats, databases, external. The things that we're typically going to have or that will have grades are going to be assignments, quizzes, which you can use for homeworks or quizzes, scoring package, which you need to upload, make with a third party piece of software, and lessons can also have grades in them. And then we have resources down here. We're going to have files, contents, labels, videos, pages, and URLs. Pages are things that we're going to produce and actually make on the system itself. So we can have a number of items that are grade elements. When we go into the grades, into the grade book itself, until I have students, not a whole lot's going to show up. We have scales, outcomes, letters, import, export, settings, my preferences, a number of different things that we can do here. The first thing I probably want to do is go in and create some categories. So we can add a category. We could have like quiz, and we can do simple weighted or weighted mean. Simple weighted counts all of the grade elements the same way. Aggregate on non-empty grades, which means that if somebody hasn't done an activity, then it won't count against them. Of course, it won't count for them either. I don't like to use that, and I'll show you how I like to do things here in just a little bit. So the grade type is going to be a value, scale, text, non-value is probably what you're going to use in most cases. The minimum grade is 0. Maximum grade, you can be 100. You can have different activities count differently. They don't all have to be 100. We could put a 60 in here. Sometimes if an activity is pretty simple, you may want to have it count 40 and the others count 100. Whatever you want it to do. Hidden until, if you want to do that, lock out after. If you don't want the students to see it until a certain time, and then if you don't want to see them, lock after a certain time, which means that they can't submit activities after that certain time, you can do that. Personally, I don't really use that a whole lot. Overall decimal is going to be 2 decimal points is where it's going to do these things. So now then we have our first category, quiz. We can add another category. Let's just put a couple of them in here. Homework. So we have quiz, homework, and I guess we have quizzes and homeworks. We probably ought to have tests. So we'll have 3 categories. Tests. If you then want each of the categories to count differently, let's say we had 100 here. Let's say that the tests are going to be 50%, homework and quizzes are going to be 25% each, just to have some numbers. We can go into full view here and tell the system the category total here is 60 because it was only a 60 pointer, how much each of the categories is going to count. But in order to do that, I've got to go up here and change my course to weighted mean of grades. And now that we have that, the weight, let's say that the quizzes are going to be 25%, the homework was going to be 25%, and the tests were going to be 50%. This one we said it was a 60. This category actually will have other stuff in there. Probably is going to wind up being 100 points also. So we can now save the changes. This will automatically weight the grades for you. We can go back to simple view, full view. You notice in simple view you don't have that ability. I'll go back to full view here just a second, show a couple of other things. If you, for instance, give a whole lot of quizzes and figure that, hey, maybe you should drop the lowest one or the lowest 2 or the lowest whatever, you can go in here and tell it to drop the lowest 2 quizzes. Little disclaimer here, if you do this early on, and they only have taken 1 or 2 quizzes, if they've only taken 2 quizzes and you drop 2 quizzes, it's going to drop those 2 quizzes and give them a 0 for that category until there are other quizzes in there. So you can drop grades here if you want to do that also. And then aggregate on non-empty grades, you can do that or not do that. Again, I said I prefer not to do that. What you can do in that case is to tell the system that the individual items, and I don't have any items in here right now, that the individual items are extra credit. So I'm going to go ahead and save this for right now, and I'd look at a couple of the other tabs while we're here. View, just going to show me the grades if I had students in here. The category, nothing in any of the categories, but you can see the categories here. Categories and items we've looked at. Scales, if we look at here, the standard scales used, you can edit the scale. You can add a new scale if you want to do that. Letters, this server already is set up with the 10-point scale, 90 to 100, 80 to 89, 70 to 79, 65 to 69, and then below 64.99 is going to be an unacceptable grade. We have some settings over here that you can look at. Aggregation position is the last position. You can change. We could change the defaults here. I can change the defaults because I'm an administrator. Grade display type, the default real letter, and percentage, or just percentage, whatever you want. I actually prefer percentage for that with the 2 decimal points. Show rank, if you want to show the rank, you can do that. Hide or show. The default is to hide it so that they don't see that. If you want the students to see where they rank in the grading, you certainly can turn that on. Hide totals if they contain hidden items. Show totals excluding hidden items, because if you hide something and it has a grade, you probably want it to count into it. And again, the user report, these are the grade item settings. User report, the show percentage, the default is to show grades. A couple of times, sometimes the systems get set up with the default so that the students can't see their grades. Not real good. You may have to come in here and modify those things. The other last the last one here, yeah, I'm going to leave this page. I didn't save, that's why it's asking me that. We can leave this page and we can go over here. So show calculations, show hide icons. These are your preferences. The other ones are what's actually going to show up in the system itself. We have the ability to import and export. Import, you've got to have all of the grade items. Export, if you want to export the grade book itself, you can export as an open document as the default. You need to pick which one you want to do before you start. Plain text file or an Excel spreadsheet. If you want it in an Excel spreadsheet, you can export it to an Excel spreadsheet and manipulate it there. The grade items to be included: category total, each of the category totals, and the course total. When we add some items to this, you'll have the option to export the individual items also. I think that kind of covers the grade book. We have some categories. We put some categories in, and then in the next video we'll add some other content to the system. With that, I'm going to stop here, and thank you for watching.